Okay, welcome guys. Thanks for coming. This is week 4 of the Competitive College Club, and this week I'm going to be talking about community colleges. So obviously we're taping this session for everybody watching over the internet. Thank you everybody for watching, and thank you for being here with us today, gentlemen. So what we're going to be talking about is community colleges, and for maybe for both of you and for many of the people on the internet, this is going to be a little bit of a non-traditional choice, but it's something I'd still like you to really strongly consider because it can very much be a backup for your current plans. What levels of degrees are you both interested in earning? Masters, bachelors?
For me?
Yes.
A master.
For a master's, and then for you? Also a master's. And I know many of the people that have signed up for these, they're primarily interested in graduate education. But graduate education can be very expensive. So I don't know if you saw it today, and for those of you on the internet, I sent our week 3 update where we talked about scholarships, and included in that is a new resource that I didn't mention, which is a financial aid tracker for graduate students. Okay, so take a look at that because it's from students from India, and it talks about the master's degrees that they've studied, and the subject, the institution they got accepted to, what their score profile was in terms of GRE scores or GMAT scores, their GPA, and then most importantly, if they earned any financial aid from the United States. So that'll let you sort. I would go ahead, if you're interested in financial aid for graduate education, I'd identify your subject, and then I'd go ahead and sort the Excel sheet, throw out anybody that didn't receive financial aid, find the students that did receive financial aid, and then from there you can say, hey, if these 6 kids got engineering or computer science or something, that was their degree and they got financial aid, then that means I can get financial aid too. Okay? So that should help you target some institutions and some schools. We also have it for undergraduate as well. But let's go ahead and get started with community college. So we're going to talk about what a community college is. And it's basically the lowest level of universities we have in the United States. So an unfortunate way of saying it is it's kind of like starting over. But there's a lot of advantages to this, and I'm going to talk about this. Community colleges are very advantageous in that they have a much cheaper cost, much lower tuition. We'll talk about that. We'll also see that the application is much, much, much easier and a much shorter time frame to apply to a community college. They also have the advantage is that it allows you to prove yourself in an American academic environment. And then after you finish your 2-year degrees, 2 years at a community college, you can transfer. And it's the transferring that makes the community college really great. There are articulation agreements between many community colleges and many 4-year universities in the United States that will allow a student to transfer automatically from the 2-year community college to the 4-year university, including some of the best schools in the United States. You can also apply as a transfer student to schools directly. So for instance, Cornell, an Ivy League school in the United States, one of the best schools in the country, takes many community college transfer students when they apply. Other schools you can automatically matriculate to. So if you meet a certain set of conditions, mostly academic, if you maintain certain grades, you can transfer. So I went to the College of William & Mary. That's the 31st best school in the United States. And you can attend Northern Virginia Community College or many other community colleges for 2 years and then automatically transfer. So I had, as I talked about in past weeks, I had colleagues, fellow students, when I was getting my undergraduate degree that did not, had nowhere near the grades or the test scores to be able to get into the school, and instead went as community college students, did well, and then transferred and earned an advanced degree in the United States. There'll be some, I hope to have some future opportunities to talk directly with some community college professors, recruitment people online using a program called New Row. So, never be afraid to start over. It's a new chance to rebuild what you want. So I'll use myself as a personal example. My bachelor's degree is in history and secondary education. I started out life, after finishing that, as a high school history and government teacher in the United States. So we don't have a baccalaureate in the United States, but if I was, I would be preparing students for the baccalaureate. And while I taught for a couple years, I eventually knew I didn't want to stay a teacher forever. And when it came time to to leave teaching after a few years, I had a problem. If you have a degree in teaching, in education, what jobs are you qualified to do? You're kind of limited, aren't you? Yeah, you can kind of teach, and is there anything else? Not really, right? So I knew in a sense I kind of had to start over, right? I had to go back to school and earn some different degrees. And I did. I went back to school and I got a couple graduate degrees focused on international affairs and political science and things like that. And from there, now all of a sudden I was qualified for other jobs that made life a little bit better, and here I am today. So for you as students, it's not about where you are right now, it's where you want to go. And sometimes you do need to make a change. But let's talk about what community colleges are. It's a 2-year degree program. There's 1,200 community colleges, which I sometimes call CCs, in the US. And there's 13 million students in community college right now in the United States. To put that number in perspective, there's 40 million Algerians. So in the United States, it's a much bigger country, right? Almost a quarter of all Algerians would be community college students in the United States. 44% of all undergraduate students in the US are at community colleges. Many will finish just at community college. Others will transfer and finish 4-year degrees. There's many notable people in the United States that have started out earning their degrees from community colleges. Including, I believe, a member of President Obama's cabinet. One of his ministers, which we call secretaries, started out their education path at a community college. So there's absolutely no reason that you can't start at a community college and even in the United States, rise to the very top. As part of this community college, students earn a 2-year degree we call an associate's degree. Our 4-year degree is called a bachelor's, and then the master's and the doctorate. You can transfer to a 4-year university to earn that undergraduate degree, either a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science. Same thing for masters. We call them Masters of Arts, Masters of Science, or a PhD in whatever subject that you might have. So what are the different types of associate degrees? This is by no means an exhaustive list, right? We have Associates of Art, Associates of Science, Associate of Applied Science, and certificates. Now, an Associate of Arts is the most common one. That's the one that if you're looking to transfer, you should focus in on an Associate of Arts. If you're looking to gain some technical skills to help you in employment, then an Associate of Science. Associate of Applied Science focuses even more specifically on direct job skills. Now, there's a large variety of programs. I've seen Associate of Arts for not just automotive technology, for being a mechanic, but also for aviation mechanics, training on Boeing jets and things like this. And that's where for you, the question sort of becomes, what career opportunities are available to you in Algeria? So you have car dealerships in Algeria, right? Ford, Audi, Fiat, right? If you have a car and you need somebody to service it, where do you take it? Can you take it to the dealership? Do the dealerships have mechanics? Sometimes?
Sorry?
Do the car dealerships, the vehicle dealerships, the places that sell the cars, do they also service the cars? Change the oil and fix the engine and things like that? No? Well, in the United States, we sometimes have mechanics. And what has happened is car technology is very advanced, right? So you often need certificates or knowledge to work on a particular type of car, right? And in the United States, you need to, oftentimes people go and get associate's degrees in automotive technology, and then they get certification in particular types of automotive mechanics. So they service Audi cars, or Toyota, or Fiat, or whatever the type of car might be. They need that specialized knowledge to be able to fix it. Now, you may say, Joe, so let me give this example. When it comes to automotive technology, that can be a very lucrative career in the United States, working as a mechanic. I've known mechanics, people that I went to high school with, they now make over $100,000 a year. They make more money than me. So they did it with 2 years of school, and I went to school for 8 years, They did 2 years. They make more money than me, right? So think about what the opportunities are available, what a skill set might make. And that may want to alter your career path, right? The last is certificate. And certificates are usually much shorter, and they're very, very, very narrowly focused. So I don't know that I would recommend carpentry. Feel like you could probably learn that a little better and a little cheaper here in Algeria. But there are a wide variety of degree programs. Don't be afraid to explore different options. And again, it's incumbent upon you to do your research in advance. Think about what the opportunities are here in Algeria. So maybe go to a car dealership and ask them and say, hey, do you need certified mechanics? Do you need people that have training in the United States? Is that something that you're interested in? I know that I've sat on hiring committees for the U.S. Embassy. And if I saw an Algerian that came here with an associate's degree, even an associate's of arts, that person would instantly jump to the top of my list. We would want to bring that person in for an interview. Oftentimes, at the embassy, we meet with Algerian companies locally, international companies that operate locally in Algeria. And these international companies, they say, we want to hire people, but we've had this job announcement for months. And then we do outreach for career training for people. We support non-government organizations that do this. And we have people that say, I've been looking for a job for months. So why is that? Well, the companies say that the people that are looking for jobs, their skills don't necessarily match up for what they need. So many U.S. companies and other international companies, I think if you had a U.S. degree, that says a lot. It shows that you're able to function in a U.S. professional environment. It shows that you have an extremely high level of English, professional English, right? That you're able to write and understand systems, that you're proficient in email, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, these basic skills that sometimes, unfortunately, many Algerians can be lacking. And that can give you a huge advantage competitively. That's what an associate in arts degree looks like. Remember, it's not about the piece of paper. It's not about what the piece of paper says. I have a couple of these hanging on my wall. They're just pieces of paper, right? That's it. They're as valuable as the pieces of paper in front of you or in a printer or anything else. The real question is, what does it do for you, right? We have a saying in the United States that your money should work for you. What does that mean? Your money should work for you. What should the money do? When you work, you do what? You make money, right? So your money should go out and work. Your money should work for you. So money that you spend on a diploma should work for you. It should be able to make you more successful, more advanced, more knowledge, more expertise for these ultimate goals, right? If you get a doctorate in philosophy, does that money go to work for you? Not maybe as much as other degrees. Not that philosophy isn't a wonderful field. That if you're interested in studying, you should follow what you want and follow your heart. But it's not going to make you too much money. So, as I said, the associate in arts, they tend to be liberal arts focused, and they're ideal for transfer students. These are going to be very general degrees. You may take some English classes, English language classes, but you'll also take a wide spectrum, math, science. The associate in science is going to be more vocationally focused, technical skills, career building. And then the certificate are going to be much shorter, cheaper programs. So what about the cost? Community colleges offer much, much lower tuition. So you can see here for a 4-year private university, the total amount is $42,000. For a public 4-year university in-state, $21,000. For a 2-year, $15,000. Most of which is actually your room and board and your living expenses. You can see the tuition's very low. Now, one thing I will caution you is that there are a number of private, for-profit community colleges out there that can charge very, very high tuition, where the numbers can be $36,000 for 2 years. These schools fund themselves by having American students borrow money from banks to go to schools. You want to target the more community, locally based community colleges. And a good sign is if you've heard of the school, if they're advertising, if they have ads on the internet, or they're advertising a lot online. Advertising costs what? Money. So they're making that money by charging much higher tuition rates. Some scholarships and financial aid are available, but they're often generally rare and limited. So let's give you an example of this. Last week we talked about calculating tuition, and we used George Mason's political science school as an example. We learned that the out-of-state tuition rate per credit hour was $1,301, right? This is for Northern Virginia Community College. What is the out-of-state student per credit tuition rate? Can you read that number? No, this one, the other one. $368.50. So $1,300 versus $368. You're saving almost $1,000. For in-state Virginia students, it's $171. So if you ever attain permanent residency or a green card in the United States, definitely look at community college because it can be very affordable. I've taken community college classes for fun, just because I'm interested in the subject. The other advantage, it's a proving ground. So sometimes we get students that come in and they say, I want to go to Stanford, I want to go to Harvard, I want to go to MIT. And these are among the best universities in the United States. I say, okay, well, it might be possible. What was your academic performance? What was your notes? What was your record? And they say, I was average, shui shui. It was so-so. And there's more? Okay. Hold on one second, let me. Hey, I'm in the middle of a presentation that we're taping. Can you go to the main CAC and escort somebody to the NPR for me, please? I think it's just one or two, probably. All right, thanks. All right, thank you. Okay. Sorry about that. So they say I'm an average student. My notes, they're shui shui, they're so-so, they're not very good. But you still want to go to the top university in the United States. You still have some more work to do. And one of the ways you can do that is a community college offers you the opportunity to improve your academic credentials. Now let's say if I have two Algerian students here in front of me. One is a great student. Their notes are fantastic. They had the top back scores in the Walaya. The other is a student that's so-so. And I, as a U.S. university, have to decide which student I want to accept. The good one or the mediocre one? Which one am I going to take? I'm going to take the good one. Do I know the good one will be a success? Not really, because they've been successful in an Algerian educational environment. Is that any guarantee that they'll be successful in an American educational environment? Not really, right? Different language, different structure, different teachers. I promise you, they're very different systems. But a student that's gone to a community college for 2 years, that's an Algerian student that's done well, they've proven themselves in an American system, right? If they've got a good GPA, if they've got good grades in that community college, in many ways, they can be more attractive than a top student from Algeria, right? Because they've proven that they can be successful. Remember, universities don't want to accept, and they definitely don't want to give financial aid to students that aren't going to finish their degrees, right? Because if you give financial aid to a student and they drop out, they fail, what did you just do with that money? You wasted it. It's lost. The other thing that it can do is it can give you the opportunity to improve your English, especially in a written professional environment, as well as to adjust to the U.S. system. Community colleges tend to be a little bit easier, so it's a way to sort of ride the bike. Did you learn how to ride a bike in Algeria? Bicycle? No? Do you have bicycles? Not really? But you know, bicycles, they have sometimes the training wheels, we call them in the United States, so the bike doesn't tip over for the small children. So community college can be like training wheels a little bit. It can be a way to gear up and to get used to the American education system.